What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys all had a great Monday as we wrap up the final game of week 3 of the 2023 NFL season, 2023 fantasy football season. Hope you guys are coming out of the week with as many victories as possible. Another rough week here in week 3, another weird week. I mean, I feel like week 3 always a weird spot for the season, but hopefully you guys came out on the other side with as many fantasy victories as possible. Nonetheless, we are moving full steam ahead into week 4. The season absolutely flying by and into week 4 we go, ladies and gentlemen. So you know what we're doing tonight? Any fantasy football questions that you guys have, starts, sits, trade advice, waiver wire advice, roster reviews, I mean, whatever you guys need, bring it. Let's go. Week 4. There's a lot to get into, so let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe on the way in. This is all we do here all year round. Free fantasy football content, redraft, dynasty, and best ball. So if you're into that, be sure to subscribe, as the Rams are actually setting up for a 1st and goal. They're still going to need a miracle to win this game, but just tuned back over and saw that. But nonetheless, let me know how week 3 went for you guys. Let me know what you guys need as we move into week 4 as well. Okay, let's do it. In terms of updates, we'll just get to it throughout the stream. So I'm starting to actually kind of pay attention to the game, see if the Rams can pull off a Monday night miracle. But now it's 3rd and goal, minute 06. I don't think it's going to happen. So let's get to some fantasy questions. Let's see how everyone's doing. Okay. Marcus, what's going on, my guy? Hello. Godfather, what's up? Aaron Reborn, Kelvion, good to see everybody. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Hope you guys are doing great. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Michael, would you drop Monty for Devon Shane? I mean, probably not. I do feel like when Monty's back, he's still going to be, in that consistent role that we've seen him in, thus far on the season. There's a touchdown by Tutu Atwell, ladies and gentlemen. See if the Rams can do something here. But, yes, guys, I've been a fan of Devon Shane throughout the entire offseason. I love his fit in this offense. I think this offense is going to continue to do what it's done on a regular basis. But it's just going to be a fine line here, because what are we exactly going to make of historically almost the best offensive performance of all time? And how are we exactly going to react to this? Because we're not going to see Devon Shane put up the type of numbers that he put up yesterday ever again. And I like Devon Shane a lot, but we still have Raheem Mostert in the mix. We still have Jeff Wilson in the mix as well. So, Michael, it depends on how bad you're struggling at running back. It depends on what your entire roster situation is here. There are some of you guys out there that have enough injuries that maybe this is a move you can consider, but we also don't have a full idea of what the split is going to look like for Miami's backfield. And I do feel like, when Monty comes back and is healthy, especially with, Gibbs has been pretty underwhelming thus far. I still feel like Monty is going to go back to what he was doing in week 1 and be a weekly floor play. So this is really close. Simply put, it's really close. I guess context does matter here, but I really like Devon Shane. I liked him all off season, but I just worry that maybe we overreact too much. Now the upside is you go and you pick him up, and well, at the end of the day, you end up getting a star-studded running back. And I do think he's going to be volatile, of course. I said that throughout the offseason as well, but I do think that upside is going to be, I don't know if we're going to get 51 points every week, but we're going to see high upside games out of Devon Shane. So we'll have to continue to talk about it throughout the stream, but it's close here, Michael. Very, very close. And I don't know. Let me know in the chat what you guys think in terms of the Devon A. Shane situation, in terms of the firepower we saw out of Miami. Like, do you guys kind of agree that we just want to maybe not completely overreact to the situation, which, I mean, the performance was amazing, but do you get what I'm saying? I just don't think, I mean, Devon A. Shane can be very, very good throughout the year, but how, like, at what cost are we going to go out and get him? Because he's available in most leagues. And what exactly are we going to get out of him on a week-to-week basis, All right. We'll talk about it more, Michael. And it looks like the Rams do not convert the onside kick. So Bengals are going to knee this out and go home with the victory. Close game, though. Rams at least made it interesting. All right. Kelvion, I played Keenan Allen this week, still won by 50. Geez. Yeah, there are some wild matchups out there for this past weekend. Super CMB, what's up? Good, or what's up, my guy? And 2 leagues started off 4-0 with all my studs underperforming. AJ Brown and Chase just went 0-2 this week with both their big games. Wow, it's great. Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase is back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope he bought him low. Marcus, what's your opinion on Kamara as an RB2 rest of the season? I think Kamara's fine. With Carr going down, I mean, I think that helps Kamara potentially. Maybe it doesn't. I mean, I think there's probably more volume there for him, so I think that's good. But Carr is, week to week, day to day, however you want to look at it. So I don't know if that really even matters. But no, Jamal Williams hurt. Kendrick Miller, a little underwhelming. His rookie debut. Tony Jones is there, but yeah, I mean, Kamara is a clear-cut guy, so I think a low ceiling, safe floor on a week-to-week basis is, I mean, when we look at the landscape of running backs right now, Kamara's just fine. Do I trade Amon-Ra, Etienne, and Dotson for Andrews, Ridley, Bijan, and Ayuk? Happy PR, RBs are Walker, Brian Robinson, Rashad, wide receivers are Chase and Pickens. Yeah. I mean, I really hate to see you lose Amon-Ra, but I mean, like, let's look at it this way. I take Bijan over ETM. I take Ayuk over Dotson. I don't mind Andrews over Kittle. I'd rather have Amon-Ra than Ridley, but I don't mind Ridley. I mean, he's no Amon-Ra, but I don't mind him. But the rest of the trade is fine. So I would definitely consider it. God, there. In the words of Forrest Gump, I'm not a smart man. I was very, very wrong about Najee. That was your guy. I mean, hey, sometimes when you have your guy, you go out and get him. You trust that your gut, and it doesn't always work out. But hey, it's a long season, brother. Sorry, guys. I feel like the chat is like completely cutting out my face. Not that anyone cares, but oh, you know why? It's because I need to hit this. Okay. I did lose Mike Williams. I don't know if I should try and make a trade. I'm number 1 in the league right now, and I have Tank, Elijah, Swift, Pickens to hold the flex down for now. I have Quentin on the bench if he pops off. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to necessarily make a trade. You have guys like Pickens and Swift. I think you're fine. It's more about playing the waiver wire, going heavy after Josh Palmer. I mean, it depends on the size of your league, who's available, but I think there's good enough options that you don't need to sacrifice starters and go out and play the waiver. Should I trade Diggs and Devon Shane for Eckler and Puka? Ooh. Wide receivers are Diggs, Wilson, Jason, Deontay, Watson, Burks. My running backs are Stevenson, Cook, Devon Shane, Bigsby, Breida, Charbs, Kelly, and Warren. So this is close. I think you want to keep Diggs here, though. I mean, like, yeah, sure, you're hurting at running back. You get Eckler. I mean, like, a Shane for Eckler, that part of it I like, but I think going from Diggs to Puka hurts you overall. So because your wide receivers aren't incredibly deep. Puka kind of having a down night at 12.2 fantasy points tonight. Bengals playing pretty aggressive at the line of scrimmage with him. Nonetheless, I mean, I think Diggs is a really solid foundational piece to this roster. I know Stevenson hasn't had a very high ceiling, but I think he's fine. It's just tough because Puka's fine, but he's still not Stephon Diggs. You know what I mean? Especially with Deontay banged up, Watson banged up. I think you have to keep Diggs. I don't know if I do it, Bryce. Aaron Reborn, what's up, dude? My team is Fields, Barkley, Mixon, Hill, Allen, Hawkinson, Evans, Jake Elliott. Nice. Sanders, Moore, Flowers, Collins, Sutton, Higbee, Watson. I don't know if I make any changes. Other than Fields, is CJ Stroud available? At this point, we're starting Stroud over Fields. Is Goff available? Is Geno available? Hate to admit it, but the Fields train is crashed. And it's not all Justin Fields, but the Bears as a whole just look completely lost, man. The coaching staff, defense, offense, everything. And the play calling's awful. It's just a mess. But yeah, Fields. Seriously, what else do you want to? Other than Barkley, you can use Miles Sanders for now, who has a good matchup this week. You have a good bench. No, I'm not making any changes here other than Fields. And we need Barkley back. But yeah, that's about it. Pray my team keeps losing. I'm going into team self-destruct mode. Are you really losing? I haven't looked closely enough across the leagues, but don't need to be worried about Nico with Tank getting so much attention. Potentially, I think that we could see some lower ceilings out of Nico. I think that's fair. Obviously, we saw it this past week, but I'm not going to panic just yet based on one game. 3 targets, 2 receptions. Wasn't great for Nico, of course, compared to Dell's 7 targets and Bobby Trees having 6 targets. But, the way this game went, ultimately, the Texans did not have to throw the ball as much. And that ended up being obviously a negative for guys like Nico Collins and such. But I don't want to overreact to one game. This game, CJ Stroud threw 20 less passing attempts than the previous 2 games. No, I'm sorry. Well, 14 less than week 1, 17 less than week 2. So, I think part of this was game script. Week 4, they get Pittsburgh. This is a team that you're going to throw against first and try and avoid the pass rush. So, Pittsburgh has been fantastic against the run. They've been awful, but still, I don't want to overreact yet. It's one stat line from 1 week. And Dell, I do think that chemistry is going to continue to grow, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Is Nico Collins an automatic start every week? Maybe not, but that's also the downside of that role that Nico Collins plays because, naturally he's just going to get the most defensive pressure. He really acts like the primary wide receiver, the number 1 wide receiver. So, tough, but I'm not going to panic just yet on Nico. Caleb, Dalton or Burrow this week? Well, this past week it was Dalton, which I think, didn't we make that call on stream for you? I started Dalton over Burrow in a dynasty league. Anyways, we'll have to wait and kind of see how things shape out. How does the week look? Is Bryce Young might play, which obviously affects everything. Burrow finished with 9 points, which is sad. But, at least he played. And if you guys watched the game, it was obvious Burrow still hurt. There were a lot of throws he did not step into. There are a lot of plays he just chucked it up so he could completely avoid any type of pass rush. And don't get me wrong, he played it smart. The defense played phenomenal tonight. If it wasn't for the defense, then this game would have looked completely different. They matched up perfectly against the Rams tonight. But this is a tough question this early in the week, Caleb. We're gonna have to wait to see how things shake out. But like I said, it's obvious to me that Burrow's still hurt, but Tennessee, who they get in week 4, they are traveling to Tennessee. for what it's worth, which is maybe not great. And this Tennessee team, not good against the quarterback or wide receiver positions from a fantasy perspective. So there's some hope there. And in terms of Andy Dalton, well, like I said, it just completely depends on if Bryce Young plays or not. But Dalton could be a legitimate option, guys. I mean, he plays Minnesota, who has given up a lot of points to wide receivers and quarterbacks so far this year. And he has had 23 points against Seattle. So it's definitely, there's potential there. How would you improve this roster through trade? Cousins, Bijan, Cook, Brees, Monty, Ridley, Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Lockett, Addison, and Flowers. Wide receivers look great, but I know some of these guys have been disappointing lately. Waller and Laporta. I think you can ship Waller if you want. I think you can ship Brees if you want. I think you can ship Garrett Wilson if you want. I think you can ship all those guys for sure. And I mean, if you're going to upgrade anywhere, it's probably still wide receiver. I mean, I think you can honestly start Bijan and Cook the rest of the season, and then when Monty's back, use them as your RB3, and then use someone from the waiver wire if you ship Brees. But it's just like at this point, Brees, Wilson, like in order to really sell them, you need them to have a big game. That window is getting smaller and smaller, and I mean, this past week was an awful environment for them. So, I mean, you hope that they go up against a soft defense, have a big game, and then you're able at least to package them, put some hope into another fantasy manager's mind. But, I mean, I think running back and wide receiver depth can help this team. I mean, I think full PPR, Laporta is going to be okay. And you can find someone else on the waiver, although that window closes sooner at the tight end position than anywhere else. But I don't think you need Waller. I mean, maybe you can package Monty as well. You got to keep Bijan and Cook. And then Ridley, Waddle, Lockett, Addison, Flowers are all guys you want to keep. Wilson, I don't mind keeping, but in this situation, you got to move on. Caleb, start to Kamara, Jones, Hall, or Javonte. Javonte's got a great matchup next week. I mean, guys, I talk about it a couple of times in the running back wide receiver videos for the week, but like this matchup between the Bears and the Broncos, it's like the fight for the worst team in the league. I mean, if Aaron Jones plays, I do think you start him because I just don't think you can't. But it's a short week. We'll see what happens. They are at Lambeau, so that helps. But I prefer to go Jones and Javonte here. I like Javonte a lot this week. I mean, CEH, Jerick McKinnon, and Isaiah Pacheco all scored against the Bears last week. I mean, this team is just Rashad White torched him week 2. Aaron Jones torched him week 1. Like, I think this is a good opportunity for Javonte to have a solid game. Kamara is interesting. He gets the Bucks. I think he'll kind of be slowly worked back in, but we'll see. It's not a great matchup for him, so I'd probably go Kamara and Javonte. Which of these players should I package for Javonte? Pacheco, Pierce, Ford, Kelly, Algier, Mitchell, Jamal Williams, and JWJ. Keep Pacheco, keep Pierce, keep Ford. Anyone else you can package, in my opinion. Start 2, Jacobs, Godwin, Brees, or Cooks. Godwin and Jacobs. I think they just give you the best volume. I think we're going to be sitting these Jets players. I mean, they play the Chiefs next week, and I mean, it's at home, but we're not sneezing at this Chiefs. This is like the first season where the Chiefs defense early in the year actually doesn't look bad. They usually start to show up like towards the playoffs, but I think this Chiefs defense is actually going to be a big factor to this team's success this year. Jacobs, good matchup. Let's go one more week. I mean, the volume has been there for Jacobs so far, but let's go one more week. Godwin does have a tough matchup, but I'd rather start him than Brandon Cooks. Won the week thanks to opponent playing Stafford. Let's go, baby. 1 and 2. Let's get it, Smokey. Love for Ridley and Pickett. I mean, if you don't need Jordan Love, it's a 1 QB league and you need wide receiver depth. Yeah. Mike Evans and AJ got me the dub. Let's go, Caleb. Pray pick 3, Thielen, Kirk, Pittman, Hopkins. I mean, this is close. Yeah, I mean, Adam Thielen starting to look like a guy who we can, I mean, he's got a great matchup this week. So, I mean, he might be starting Adam Thielen. Christian Kirk has been resurging, and I told you guys don't panic on Kirk after week 1. Falcons have been really good against opposing wide receivers, though. I like Pittman a lot this week, so I think you start Pittman for sure. I mean, I just like Pittman in general, and I don't think it really matters who starting quarterback is. D-Hop gets the Bengals. They're an interesting defense. We obviously just watched them wrap up their game, but they're not a bad defense by any means. Pass rush is first for that team. I said Kirk or Hopkins, but it's close. Who do you like the least? Agent Clark Kent, Palmer, Dell, Mims on the waiver. Who should I prioritize? Just lost Mike Williams. I'll go Tank Dell, Josh Palmer, Marvin Mims in that order. Tua or Goff. I mean, of course, every week we want to look at matchups. Like week 2 for Tua was not a great matchup. Offensive game plan was a little bit different. You like 12 fantasy points. This week he gets the Bills, and I do like this matchup. I think it's going to be a game with a lot of points. Goff, short week. I don't like Thursday night matchups for fantasy. He'll probably have a decent game. I go Tua, though. And, do we even bench Tua at this point? I don't think so. Marcus, Tuna, what should I do with Fields? I have A-Rich. I mean, you either just hold him and watch what happens, cross your fingers, or you package him in a trade. But don't just drop him, I guess. At least wait till he has there's still potentially he has 1 or 2 good games in a row at some point this season. You get something out of him. It's a tough situation. Who else is out there at quarterback is the question. A-Shane was a fluke, in my opinion. It's not going to happen again with Mostert in front of him. I mean, I like Devon A-Shane. I talked about him a lot ever since he got drafted to the Dolphins. I don't think it's necessarily a fluke, but the consistency is going to be hard to really get a gauge on. Devon A-Shane, 100% worth picking up. If he's out there on waivers, he's 100% worth decent amount of free agent bidding as well. But are we doing these I'm dropping a bona fide starter with good volume for him, or I'm trading a player who's been consistent so far this year and is a bona fide starter for Devon A-Shane straight up? I don't think I'm 100% there. And I mean, you guys can ask anyone who followed the channel in the off season before fantasy started and followed us through our dynasty discussions. I'm as big of a Devon A-Shane truther as there is in all the fantasy community. And I'm still telling you guys, just be a little bit hesitant with this. Start 2, Mostert, Jones, Javonte, or Cook. These are all good options for this week. But, Raheem Mostert made the must start video last week. And he's probably in that territory now where it just doesn't matter. I probably go Mostert and Cook. Just because of the matchup. I think it's a good matchup for fantasy, but I like Jones if he plays, and I really like Javonte too, but I think I go Cook and Mostert. Cook also made the must-start video this coming week for what it's worth. Tommy, what's good, my guy? So I traded Garrett Wilson and Swift for Waddle. So now we have Amon-Ra, Waddle, Watson, Dotson, Dell, Gibbs, and Kenneth, Charbs, Kyron. Kyron had 17 total touches. Just Bengals defense was good. I mean, I think it's fine. I really like Swift still. I think personally you should have waited till after the Monday night game to do this trade, because now Swift's coming off another. I mean, he had over 100 rushing yards tonight. So I feel like you ended up selling Swift under his value potentially. Garrett Wilson's fine in this trade. I don't mind that you went out and got Waddle. I think he's a good buy low, but I think you gave up maybe just a little bit too much. I feel like Swift could really be beneficial to your team, being that Gibbs is playing, unfortunately, at a low ceiling right now. Kenneth is fine, and you have, I mean, Charb's getting more touches is good, and obviously you have his handcuff. Chiron's, I mean, I still like Chiron. I think you're right about that. He's in that workhorse running back role. I mean, I don't have a problem with him at all, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like giving up Swift was just a tad too much, but I mean, he is injury prone, of course, and there are other running backs in that backfield. So I don't know, maybe the tires fall off at some point, but I mean, I think Waddle is a good player to go buy right now. And I think Wilson is a good player to sell right now. But something about Swift, I mean, maybe it's just me and me liking DeAndre Swift personally, but I feel like it's just a tad too much. I mean, I feel like if you were able to line up, I mean, you did need wide receiver help with Watson being hurt and everything, but if you're able to go like Amon-Ra, Dell, and then go Kenneth, Swift, and then flex Chiron or flex Wilson, I still feel like you're fine. Then when Watson comes back, you could have moved him in as well. Dotson is such an interesting player. Like, he's just been such a disappointment so far this year, man. But I mean, I'm not completely against a trade. I just like Swift is all, I guess. Alan fell to 2-1. Do I trade away AJ Brown for Mixon, Tua, and D Hop lists? I have Fields. I mean, you could. It depends on the rest of your wide receivers. I feel like this trade's okay. How bad do you need Mixon is the big question here. Like, are you hurting that bad at running back? I mean, D Hop's a downgrade from AJ Brown. I don't really want to lose AJ Brown, but I mean, Alan, it depends. Like, what is? I mean, a lot of times for me, the context matters here. The entire roster can be really important in trades like this where you're making a big change, but and then it depends like who's out there on waiver quarterback. I mean, guys, if you're hurting, you're in the Justin Fields boat. I just would not panic and feel like you have to make a big trade for a quarterback. I think there's a lot of guys. I mean, this was really looking like a year where going zero quarterback may have been smart, but I mean, like Geno's still out there in a lot of leagues. He's decent. I actually think Daniel Jones is going to be somebody that we can actually stream against teams like Seattle and Miami in the next 2 weeks, but we're going to look at matchups for that. Brock Purdy is still a guy that we can go out and play. Russell Wilson against the right defenses, like in week 4 against Chicago. Jordan Love is rostered in a lot more leagues now, but if Love's out there, like he just needs to be rostered. But CJ Stroud is the other name that's going to start to get rostered, and he's certainly worth replacing Fields with. So I do think there's still some names out there. I don't think Baker Mayfield's in that territory anymore after tonight's performance, but he was starting to look like a player we could potentially stream. So, I mean, it depends on your league and everything. But I don't know. I just hate to see you lose a player like AJ Brown. Kevin, what's good, my guy? Finally got a W, 1 and 2. Nice. Kamara is back. Time to roll. Hurts, Brees, Kamara, CD, Amara, Laporta, Olave, and Hollywood, Addison, London is second flex. Okay, wow. I mean, team looks pretty good. You're great at wide receiver. You need some running back depth, but you're fine there. Feelings on Fields rest of the season. I mean, I'm just really disappointed with how the season has began. My hope is that there's some positive that comes sooner rather than later, and this team starts to get rolling, and Justin Fields looks at least resembles what he did last year. Like, he doesn't have to have those massive ceilings or like be lighting defenses up 100% of the time with his legs, or like he needs to just resemble some sort of positivity based off of the style of quarterback he was last year. And just this team just needs to get something positive going offensively. I don't even care about the defense anymore. Like, just give us something positive on offense, please. Start 2, Swift, Pacheco, Addison, Hall, London, Davis, or Elijah Moore. I'd probably go Swift and Addison. Pacheco's close, though. 0-3. I felt I needed to make a move. I mean, nothing wrong with that. How do you feel about Burrow? Yeah, I mean, like I said, he was obviously hurt tonight. He was obviously hurt tonight. It was very apparent. He's at Tennessee, at Arizona. I'm not going to underestimate those matchups. Arizona just beat the Cowboys for crying out loud. Tennessee, like, yeah, they have a lot of problems, but they do have a good front seven at the end of the day. Not the best pass rushers, but they have a good front seven nonetheless. Seattle at home, it's an interesting game. But I would still say that these are three tough matchups in a row before Burrow gets a week of rest in week 7 on bye week. Then they're at San Francisco. Then they host Buffalo. Then they host Houston. Then they're at Baltimore. Then they host Pittsburgh. Then they're at Jacksonville. It's a pretty tough stretch and a couple of really good defenses and good defensive players, specifically at the pass rush in there. So, like, I am worried about Burrow because watching him tonight, he was hurt, not stepping in every throw. Like I said, there were throws where he was just throwing it so that the pass rush didn't have the opportunity to hit him. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was playing smart and trying not to re-aggravate his injury, but or make it worse, I guess I should say. But I am worried about Burrow right now. Probably dropping Fields week 3 is his last chance. He looks awful. Yeah. I still think that there can be something positive from this season, but I'm just trying to be optimistic. It's not like, I mean, it's further than Fields. Like, I mean, Fields is part of the blame here, but everything here is bad. The play calling's bad. The coaching staff on both sides of the ball is bad. I mean, this, if things don't start to get going, this could look like, you know, a season that is just completely lost, and this team just tears it down completely and restarts. And I mean, the other team that could be doing the same is the Denver Broncos. I mean, Sean Payton came out and said that, you know, publicly made the comment about Nathaniel Hackett and his coaching, you know, job last season. And quite frankly, Sean Payton looks worse as a head coach. So the Bears, the Broncos, there's a lot of things in shambles here, but I do think that there is still a chance for this offense to get it together. I think the defense is a lost cause. I think we're streaming against not even streaming, but just starting anyone and everyone against the Bears defense the rest of the year. But trying to trade Kittle for receiver, lost Mike Williams. Who should I target? Go look at teams in your league that need a tight end and go offer Kittle for an equivalent wide receiver. That's really what you have to do here. Should I still hold Davis Mills? Not if you don't need to. I mean, like, there's always some sort of value to backup quarterbacks and super flex in case the QB1 goes down. So, I mean, and we've already seen Stroud almost miss a game. So, like, yeah, maybe you still hold him, but that's all you're hoping for at this point. Stroud looks great. Derek, what's up? Albert, what's up? Sorry, guys, I know I'm way behind on the chat. Do you think I still won my trade and Dynasty, traded away Ford and got Godwin? I mean, yeah. You needed the wide receiver is what it boiled down to as well. And yeah, guys, I know I said to sit Jerome Ford last week. I was not a fan of him. And like, I mean, all I have to say really is that Jerome Ford made the most of his touches. He didn't really, like, on the ground have a good day. You know, he had 1.8 yards per carry. So I still stand by what I said last week. He had 18 yards on the ground off of 10 attempts. But he turned one of those attempts into a touchdown. Then he had 3 targets, 2 receptions. He did have 33 receiving yards. Looked good in the passing game, 16.5 yards per catch, and turned one of those into a touchdown. So he made the most out of his touches. Like, let's not get that twisted. But, you know, on the ground, he was very inefficient. And my reasoning was that not to start him was that this Titans run defense is great. I mean, they're literally still on a historic pace for the season. So, anyways, Jerome Ford, good start last week. Hope you guys didn't listen to me. Marcus, I'm 2-1. How's the team look? Trade options that you potentially see: A. Rich, Goff, Fields, Bijan, Etienne, Kamara, Roshan, Amon-Ra, Amari, Addison, Pickens, Pitts. Yeah, I mean, if you're like 2-1, I don't really see any reason to move on from anyone here, except you don't need 3 quarterbacks, Marcus. Oh, you are 2-1. Yeah. And you need to replace Pitts, but other than that, I don't see any reason for any major changes. Pretty good running back and wide receiver core. You have a lot of depth at QB that you don't need. And this might be a situation where you're putting, like, Yeah, you just don't need these 3 quarterbacks. So, I mean, you can come up with something there, and then you can move on from Pitts. Thielen or Palmer, I don't know how long this Thielen thing is going to last. Um, but I kinda like Thielen right now. Palmer, I think, is fine, though. I do think if Thielen's available, you probably want Thielen over Palmer. Did I win this trade in Dynasty? I got Dak and traded away B-Rob and Sutton. I mean, yeah, for super flex, I don't mind that. It's fair. And there's both sides are good, but it's fair. Stevenson, Shane, and Wilson for Eckler. I think it could be a really good buy low opportunity because, like, if Eckler has been playing this whole year, you're still probably not able to pull off this trade. And if we're going based off of last year, you're not able to pull off this trade. It's still a lot to give up for Eckler, though. I think it's okay. But I think you can get one, even if you get his worst wide receiver, get one more player out of this. Make it a 3 for 2. He's going to have to drop 2 players anyways. 8-1 by 1 point. A win's a win, baby. Shopkey 3-0. Let's go. Thanks for the advice, of course, man. Happy to do so. Chase had a good game. Let's go. Not worried about Nico when they throw 40 times a game, 100%. Like I said last week, mainly game script. Won 3 or 4 leagues today. Let's go, Caleb. Feeling lucky to be 2-1. Crazy season already. I mean, it always is. It always is. You know, it never is what we expect. Cinnabon, what's good? I'm 3-0. Let's go, baby. Smokey, what side would you run? Burrow, Chiron, London, Jacobs, or Allen, Charbon, Debo? Allen, Charbon, Debo, I guess. I don't know. The Burrow side is a little bit deeper. It depends on your quarterback situation, though. Josh Palmer and Josh Downs, waiver pickup's going to be nice ones. What do you think? 100%. I like both these guys right now. I like both of them a lot. Yeah, Burrow to Chase. Let's go. Do you think Puka will bounce back? Yeah, I didn't even have that bad of a game. 12.1 fantasy points in PPR. So, I mean, he's fine. How do you feel about starting Josh Jacobs? Yeah, the volume's been there. It's just this offense is not efficient in the red zone at all. I mean, they're not efficient as a whole. Devontae Adams had a good game last night, but the volume has been there for him. He's had like 17 or more touches in 2 of the 3 games, 9 touches in week 2, but Buffalo is blowing them out. It's a soft matchup this week against the Chargers. I think Jacobs, this is a good bounce back opportunity. You did and don't help me get the dub. Let's go, baby. Good. Thank God. Half PPR 6-point passing touchdown. Should I trade Hurts for Burrow and Swift? I don't think so. I think I'm keeping Hurts there. Defense have been doing bad. Seahawks D against, I don't know, man. The Seahawks defense kind of worrying me right now. I did not like what we saw this past week after a strong performance the week before. A lot of Jacksonville didn't play great. Yeah, I mean, Seattle, just a poor game against Carolina and Andy Dalton. So, I mean, they're at the Giants. Maybe it's an okay floor. I don't hate them. I don't really love them, though. Yeah, I don't know if I'm quite there. I think the Buccaneers could be interesting because it looks like Jameis Winston might start, which could be good, could be bad, but I think it's worth the risk there. They might get dropped after playing the Eagles this past week, or may have already gotten dropped for that same reason. So that's something to think about. Stevens must-start defenses and streams are out for the week on the channel if you guys want to check that out. Tua and Mike Evans getting the touchdowns, clutched up the win for me. Let's go. 1 by 1.5, 8 points. Nice. Punin had Brown, Smith, Godwin to my Mike Evans and Atwell. Nice. That 2-2 touchdown came late, too. The Jets defense droppable. Yeah, this Jets defense, I think as the season goes on, is going to continue to unfortunately unravel. I mean, they get Kansas City in week 4. Then they're at Denver. There might be an opportunity there, but I don't know if I like that. They're traveling across the entire nation. And then they get Philly in week 6. Then they have a bye week. So if you want to try and pick them back up off the waiver wire, you're going to have an opportunity to do so. But I would say yes. DK and Brees Hall for Derrick Henry. I consider that trade for sure. Mixon or Mostart. I mean, it's close here. I probably go Mostart though. Mixon in a tougher matchup against the Titans. How big an upgrade would Kittle be over Fryer and Ferguson? Trying to figure out if I need to trade to give me someone I can count on a bit here. I mean, there's always volatility at tight end. Like, you're just not going to get a player like Kelsey on a week-to-week basis. I mean, Kittle's gone 4, 6, and 16. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Freiermuth has done much better than that. He's gone 7, 2, and 13. I mean, okay, maybe not much better, but about just as good, you know? And Ferguson isn't really making the most out of his targets, but the target share has been there for him. So, you know, I don't think I quite do the trade, because at least you have like 2 options here on a week-to-week basis. I don't think I'd do the trade. Godwin, Ford, or Kyron next week. I probably go Kyron Williams. You know, the volume was there tonight. Bad matchup for him. But I think you go ahead and you plug him back in against the Colts. Ford is interesting as well. He gets the Ravens. I don't mind him if you like him. Would you rather have Watson or Devon Shane? Ooh. Oh my gosh, that was an intense yawn. It depends. Do you need the wide receiver or running back more? I mean, it's all about but what position do you need on your roster more? Certainly the toilet bowl coming up. Told me not to start Jerome Ford and he scored 20. I mean, yeah. We already went over it. I mean, he still was awful on the ground, and the Titans stuffed him all day long. He just ended up turning one touch into a touchdown and then caught a touchdown. So looked good in the passing game. But I mean, the theory made sense. And hey, I don't always make the right calls. Hey, Chase, what's up, bro? Have Cup and Deontay. Would you trade Deontay and Moore for Higgins? That I don't know. Higgins had a really weird game tonight. Didn't look very efficient. Obviously looked great in week 2. He's got 2 matchups coming up. 3 matchups, honestly, that are favorable. I mean, I don't really mind the trade. I think I'm okay with it. But something feels a little off about Higgins. But if you feel like you need a wide receiver right now that you can fire up, I think it's okay. Is Josh Jacobs still a buy low option? Yeah, 100%. For sure. Would I give up for him? Depends on your roster, but I'd be willing to trade 1 or 2 decent players for Jacobs right now. I'm glad I'm streaming 2, brother. Should I trade away T-Law or keep him? I keep him. You have Watson. Maybe you can trade him, but depends on how you feel. If I started this week over Hopkins, I would have won. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. That is the story of fantasy football and sports betting. Pick 2, White, Connor Sanders, or Shane. Rashad White just doesn't look explosive at times. Yeah, I mean, a tough matchup this week for White. And I do think, you know, he's got a tough matchup next week against the Saints. But White could be one of these players who we're really looking to start against soft matchups. But I still like Rashad White. But I probably go Connor and Sanders next week. You could go Devon Shane, but I just don't know how. I don't know. I think Devon Shane could be a good floor play next week, but I just don't know if the ceilings. We're gonna need a bigger sample size before we're starting him. I mean, Connor and Sanders is who I start. Connor looks like he's matchup proof. Jeez, the Cowboys were the #1 run defense going into this week. Can you pick 3 of these players? What's up, Dominic? Watson, Kamara, Pacheco, White, Wilson. I probably sit Garrett Wilson and White at the moment. I hate sitting Rashad White, but I probably do. Puka and Kyron became human today. Spike weeks are real for sure. I mean, it's a long season. We're still early in, but the game plan, game script wasn't there. The Bengals defense really showed up tonight. Got to hand it to them. Kirk's the QB1. Let's go, Captain Kirk. Should I pick up Thielen, Sutton, Jacoby, or Palmer? I mean, these are all good options. Drop Moore, Watson. Don't drop Puka. Don't drop no. Don't drop any of these players. If you're going to drop any of them, it's DJ Moore. But no, you don't drop any of these players. You're going to pick anyone up, I'd probably go Sutton, Jacoby, Thielen, Palmer, I guess. No, you still don't drop any of those names. Pick one QB, T-Law, Jones, Richardson. I mean, I think if Richardson starts, you can definitely play him. But I don't want to give up on T-Law just yet. But he does have a weird... I don't really like the matchup against the Falcons, so I guess you go A-Rich here. Jones is last for me, though. Lawrence, Stroud, Love, or Jones? Love. Love has looked great. Should have got Swift when I had the chance. Hey, you still have a chance. Mark, out of 200 free agent bidding, how much should I drop on Palmer? I mean, if you need a wide receiver bad enough, I mean, 50, 60 is fine. 70 if you're really hurt at wide receiver. What do you think about Kyron's performance? I mean, once again, this just the Bengals really matched up well against the Rams tonight. Kyron's volume was there, so I think he's fine. Should I play Cook or Moss? I will go Cook. Mark, Eagles fan here. Besides one drive, Swift took all the important touches. He's the main back. Thank you, Mark. Good update. Swift's my guy. Space goes. I lost bad. Not looking for me, guys. I'm calling curse season. Don't give up yet, guys. It's still really early in the year. Traded Pickens and Moss for Ridley. I don't hate that. Tommy, I like Swift too. I know. It's tough decisions for that trade. Let me see. Should I try to trade Swift for Ridley? You could. I think Swift is a really good RB2 to own right now. And I was a Swiftie going into the year anyways, so I'd probably keep him. Cook or Moss? I mean, Moss has got to come back to earth at some point. It's not an awful matchup against the Rams this week if you want to start him. I think Cook's matchup is really intriguing, but Moss is probably a perfectly fine start too. Middle of the pack, wide receivers need a stud. I have Higgins, Lockett, Flowers, Scary Terry. You could package two of them and get a stud, maybe. Let's see here. I was able to trade Mike Williams, who I know is hurt, plus Kareem Hunt for Jason and Jacobs. Did I win this? Yeah. Not even close. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Jacobs is huge here. I'd rather have Jacobs and Hunt 100%. And yeah, I mean, like, even if JSN's not super productive, he's better than Mike Williams now, unfortunately. Allen, we got Fields, Robinson, Connor, Hunt, Edwards, Brown, Ridley, Puka, Addison, Johnson, Henry, and Higbee. I mean, things look pretty good here. I mean, Bijan and Connor to stay healthy. Brown, Ridley, Puka's fine. Addison, Deontay, good enough when Deontay comes back at least. But Addison, very nice for a potential flex option. Henry and Higbee, like, you're going to make the wrong calls some week. Like, that can be the thing with rostering two tight ends like that. The big thing here is, like, who's available at quarterback that you can stream for now. Fields, we don't want to start him. Swift's the best running back in the NFL. I don't care. Tank Dell, best rookie. We'll see. Yeah, I agree. That was a big win in that trade. Super Flex League. Should I start Watson and for my flex instead of T-Law, play Watson or Higgins? I mean, for me in Super Flex, it's very rare that I'm going to advise that you don't start the quarterback. I think keep trusting T-Law. You drafted him for a reason. I'm going to catch up Cinnabon. I'm trying. You don't think Watson outscores T-Law this week? I mean, I just go quarterback there. Pickens or Dell. I mean, this is going to be a tough call. Maybe Dell. The Steelers have been soft against opposing wide receivers. Texans have been a little bit better, but they both have big playability, so I could see these guys outscoring each other. Should I pick up Stroud till Fields? Yeah, 100%. 100%, Dr. Clutch. Trading Kenneth and Pittman for Gibbs and Waddle. I've got Ford and Nico Collins on the bench. I think that's a good trade. Wait, Kenneth and Pittman. I wouldn't do that trade. No, I keep Kenneth and Michael Pittman. That's who I'd personally keep. And I like Waddle a lot. And Gibbs is an interesting buy low, but I think you keep Kenneth and Pittman have been really productive. I would keep them personally. Is it to drop Dotson? Would you drop him for Hollywood? I would, yeah. I would drop Dotson for Hollywood. Cats go 0 running back because running backs get injured too much. Loses Mike Williams, Deontay, Payne. Yeah. It's been a tough start to the year, guys, but there's certainly ways to patch up, just about any roster out there. I think JT plays week 5. I think he'll play, and I think he's going to play for the Colts, frankly. I mean, it'd be really much more interesting if he goes to another team, but I think he's going to end up playing for the Colts. DeAndre Swift season, Mahomes, Mostart, Cook, Keenan, MT, Hawk, Del Swift. Bench, I got Jason, Barkley, Downs. Are you losing right now? Because his team looks really good. And for a 12 team, this team looks great. I mean, Mostart and Keenan alone scored. Mostart, Keenan, and Swift, or Mostart, Keenan, and Dell scored 100 points alone last week. What do you mean? What do you do? You got Barkley on the bench too. You're fine, man. Just relax. You're okay. What do you do with Stevenson? I know he's had a tough schedule, but he looks like a fat Eddie Lacy out there. Jeez. I think Stevenson you hold. I think he's fine. He's a good buy low right now, I think. Drop Puka for Thielen? No. Not yet. I think Ridley for JT is a good trade. You can consider it. Thoughts on Bucks defense next week? He was in Steve's top defense for the week. Yeah. Didn't look so good tonight. Also starting Fields next week. Who should I grab? Stroud or Jones? Stroud. And in terms of the defense, I think the Bucks defense will be fine next week. I mean, they played the Eagles. Next week, they get probably Jameis Winston. I think they're fine next week. Bronson, should I trade JT for Ridley? Yeah, this is a close one. Because we just had the trade. Would you trade Ridley for JT? I think either way, it's close. It just depends, like in both circumstances, how badly do you need the wide receiver compared to the running back? And I mean, I think Ridley and JT are good buy lows right now, so it's tough. If you need the wide receiver more, I think it's fine, and vice versa if you need the running back more. Drop James Cook for Devontae Shane. I wouldn't do it. I mean, if there's someone else you can drop, that's what I would do. I still think you should pick up Devontae Shane, but I wouldn't drop Cook. Grab Musgrave. His target's gone up. I think 100% loves. Got to get him a TD. Yeah, I agree, Shopkey. I mean, Musgrave made the waiver wire video for the week. I like Luke Musgrave a lot right now, and I like this Packers offense a lot right now as well. If you're struggling at tight end, Luke Musgrave, all the signs are there. I mean, he's not doing quite what Sam Laporte is doing, but Musgrave looks good. What's up, Boxing the Jack? Is Josh Jacobs a trade target? 100% a great buy low trade target for sure. Trade away Ridley for Jacobs. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but Jacobs is a good buy low, unless you're just stacked at wide receiver. But Ridley's going to start bouncing back. Goddard or Henry? I mean, I think keeping both is fine the way tight end looks right now. Henry's going to have his weeks. He just dropped from tight end 2 pretty drastically after last week's performance, but he'll be fine. They get the Cowboys this week. Goddard had a decent game tonight as well. So, I mean, it's just going to be back and forth, unfortunately, but that's just how the tight end position is. So, let's see. Is Fields a drop? Maybe. It depends on who else is. It depends on what quarterback you're dropping him for. Maybe hold on to him and go pick up a streamer for now, but he's getting close to that territory. Big D, T-Law, Pollard, Cook, Jettis, Amon-Ra, Goddard, Watson. I have JT coming back next week. Puka, Higgins, Moore, Moss, Watson. Thoughts? For a 10 team, you look fine. Like I get T-Law's not playing great, but you look fine. I mean, as long as it's James Cook and not Dalvin Cook, which I'm assuming is James Cook, you look fine. I mean, JJ Amon-Ra is great. It looks like, okay, super flex, you got Watson in there, right? If it's not super flex, I mean, you got Puka, Higgins, DJ Moore. Like, DJ Moore at least is giving us good enough floors. Watson will come back. Moss is a good RB 3 to have. JT will be his handcuff. So, well, Moss will be JT's handcuff, if I didn't say that correctly. But yeah, I think you're fine. I mean, are you 2-1 at least? Even if you're 1-2, don't completely panic yet, guys. Yes, DeAndre Swift season. Your team looks good. Thoughts on Gibbs? Yeah, Gibbs an interesting conversation right now. Been, I would say, disappointing to say the least. The volume was there last week, and he was efficient on the ground, I think, is the positive. Okay. Does it always equate to a great fantasy stat line? No, but Atlanta's defense has been good this year. He had 80 yards on the ground, 4.7 yards per carry. But what we saw in week 2 was 9 targets. What we saw in week 3, 2 targets. So we want to get like the involvement both ways, on the ground and through the air, because he's capable of it. So he's at Green Bay, hosts Carolina, at Tampa Bay, at Baltimore. I don't think it's going to get any better through that stretch. It could, but those are all tough matchups. Then they host Las Vegas. They have a bye week. They're at Chicago. Then they host, they're at the Chargers and they host Chicago. That's a good stretch. So, like, I'm not going to panic on Gibbs, but yeah, things are a little interesting right now. And when Monty comes back, does that help Gibbs, or does that continue to lower his ceiling that he hasn't really been able to capitalize on so far with Monty out? John told me to start Dell over Tony, Chat, and man, Tony with 1 fantasy point and fell with 25. W. John, hey, at least I made one right call. You know, I felt like last week, I mean, week 2, we made a lot of really good calls. I felt really good about that. Last week was like a little all over the place. My starting Watson on Thursday night got Amon-Ra, Waddle, Kanon Gibbs, Watson, Kyron, Dell. I don't think so, Tommy, on a short week. I mean, I know for Watson, it's not really a short week, but I don't really like Thursday night matchups. I think they'll ease him back in. You have enough options. I don't think you do it. Musgrave or Waller? I go Musgrave right now. I'm just not in on Waller. Stash or trade DJ Moore? I think you just hold on to him. I mean, I think it's okay to package DJ Moore in a trade, but that's about it for me. I just don't think you're going to get scraps for him. Dumb question, but I have to ask. I have the number 1 waiver pick. I hate giving it up, but Shane is available. Only running with Jacobs, Edwards, and Monty. Yeah, you got to grab him. You 100% have to grab him. How'd you feel if I trade White and Wilson for Jacobs? I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, you're getting rid of Wilson, which I feel like most people want to do right now. And like White, I really like Rashad White, but I do think like against tough matchups, he's just not going to do a lot, because once the Bucks get behind, they just abandon the run game. Yeah, David, your team looks good, man. I would not panic at all. You're in a good spot. Team looks really good, actually. Anish, what's up? 1 and 2, 10-man PPR. QBs are Richardson and Prescott. Running backs are Kamara, JT, Madison, Akers, Javonte. Wide receivers are Chase, Wilson, Olave, and Jaden Reed. Tight end is Mark Andrews. What can I do? Believe it or not, guys, 3 weeks into the year, going into week 4, 1 and 2 is not by any means the end of the world. Trust me, it's really not. So if you guys are 1 and 2, I mean, quite frankly, even if you're 0 and 3, maybe there's more reason for concern, but there's so much of the fantasy season left. If you have 1 win over your belt, you're continuing to get good pieces for your team. Just don't panic quite yet. But quarterbacks look fine here. You need running back help, so whatever you can do to help that. I mean, I'd keep Javonte, but Akers, Madison, even JT and Kamara, I would try to keep one or the other, but maybe Kamara, because you're going to need someone to start for now. But they're still potentially up for trades. If you're keeping Chase, you're keeping Olave. Don't even think about moving those guys, no matter what. Wilson and Jaden Reed can be moved, but Wilson could be a guy that you need to flex right now, so it's tough. You can't move on from Mark Andrews, so see what you can get in terms of moving some of those running backs, maybe with Garrett Wilson. I don't think you need to make any trades, David. I really don't. What's the likelihood of starting 0-3 and making the playoffs? I mean, I've done it before, so there's some likelihood. Who's a top player can buy low right now? Probably Josh Jacobs, right? Thoughts on Laporta the rest of the season? I think Laporta in full PPR is going to be a really solid start. Cinnabon, have a great night. Thank you for helping in the chat, my dude. What do you think JT does when back? It depends if he does play for the Colts or goes to a different team. If he plays for the Colts, I think he's fine. If he goes to a different team, depends on what team he potentially goes to. So tough to answer, but I think JT will be okay for sure. You know, as long as he's really fully healthy, I think he'll be okay. And there's a lot of speculation right now that he was quote unquote faking injuries. So we'll find out. But I think JT will be fine. The big question is, what is his health? I don't really care where he's playing. I think the Colts are fine. I mean, like Zach Moss has been fed and got done, so I think JT can definitely be fine. But it just depends where he plays. But yeah, he's going to be a solid RB2 for the year for sure. And I mean, he could have the upside of moving into RB1 territory. So JT, if you own him, he's fine. If you can trade him, go buy him low. That's fine. If you need to trade him, the way the season is going right now, I'm not against it. Would Isaiah Pacheco and Wilson trade be better for Jacobs? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I like Pacheco a lot. I loved him last week going up against the Bears, but yeah, he's fine in this situation for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the night. So we went a little bit over an hour. So that's perfect timing. But I am going to go ahead and wrap up. So we should have must start wide receivers and running backs dropping tomorrow. Then we will have must start kickers dropping on Wednesday, then streaming options at tight end and quarterback coming out the following day. Then we'll have 5 more must start players at the end of the week coming out for you guys. I will not be on tomorrow. I will not be able to stream tomorrow, but I will be streaming Wednesday night. I will stream Thursday for an hour before kickoff with Steven. I will stream Friday night, and I will stream Saturday night as well as Sunday morning. So back into the mix we go for week 4, ladies and gentlemen. So hope you guys had a good week 3, got as many victories as you could. But if you didn't, guys, don't panic. There's so much season left, guys. Just don't panic quite yet. Okay. I promise you guys. A lot of season left, a lot of opportunities to improve your roster and for your roster to step up if it hasn't done so. So if you're 1-3, 1-2, if you're 3-0, if you're 2-1, even if you're 0-3, whatever it may be, don't panic just yet. There's going to be, we're already seeing so many opportunities come up on the waiver wire, guys. Just don't panic. A lot of season left. But a great week 3 in the books, ladies and gentlemen. We have must add waiver wires out for you guys already. Dropped that before any other channel did this past week. Late Sunday night, we have must start defenses by Steven out for you guys. So make sure you guys go check out the videos. Go drop us a like. Go drop us a comment. Like I said, must start running backs, wide receivers tomorrow. Must start kickers Wednesday. Streaming options at quarterback and tight end Thursday. 5 more must start players at the end of the week. We'll be streaming most of the week, basically every night except for Tuesday. So make sure you guys stay tuned, be on Discord, all that good stuff. And I'll be here to help you guys best I can this week. Why is the fantasy community better at scouting wide receiver prospects in the NFL? Everyone knew QJ was a bust. Dell and Puka were fantasy darling sleepers. It's because we're geniuses, cats. Let's just admit it, okay? Senior said to start Watson, but I hear they might ease him back. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, trust your gut, man. That's all you can do, right? Team is great, but I made a dumb trade. Sent off Chase for Barkley and JSN. Ooh. Higgins being evaluated for 2 broken hands and Barkley injured. Can't beat yourself up for it. It's over now, right? It is what it is. All right, guys, hit the like on the way out if you didn't do so already. Links are down below. If you guys are new to the channel, hope you guys enjoyed the stream, enjoyed the content. Thank you for subscribing. If you did subscribe, links are down below. Be sure to join our free Discord. If you guys are new to the channel, a very active Discord community all year round. You guys can post your rosters, ask fantasy questions, whatever you guys need. Someone will get back to you. Plus, that's the only place I make announcements and one of the only additional places you can reach me. Follow us on Instagram. That link's down below as well. But all right, that'll wrap it up for the night. So I'll talk to you guys soon. If you need anything, quickest way to reach me is through a YouTube comment. Second quickest way is a Discord message. So you guys can hit me up if you need anything. I'll get back to you when I can. But that'll do it for tonight. So love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And peace.